Joining us on Newsmakers on this Sunday is Representative Luis Gutierrez. He is the task force chair for the Hispanic Caucus. He's a Democrat from the Chicago area. Thanks very much for being with us.
Pleasure to be with you this morning.
And here for the questioning from the Tribune Bureau in Washington and also a correspondent for the LA Times is Peter Nicholas and Rick Dunham, Washington correspondent for the Houston Chronicle. Thank you both for being with us. Congressman, let me begin with both the issue of health care and immigration, because initially you opposed the health care bill because of the language with regard to immigration, and then you changed. What changed in the legislation?
Well, I supported the bill when it first came before the House. The Senate version, of course, was different. I think many of us remember when President Barack Obama came before the House floor to give an explanation and encourage us to get the legislative work done, kind of pivoted to the left and looked at the Republicans and said, you know, you've been wrong and you've been unfair because nothing in this bill contains any provisions, any tax benefits that could benefit undocumented workers. He said illegal aliens then. 2 days later, he said the White House issued a statement saying, moreover, even if you go to the exchange to purchase your health care, we want to make sure that you're legally here in this country, even though there would be no taxpayer dollars, even though you would use your own money to buy. I thought that was mean, over the top, unnecessary, bad public policy, and they then interjected immigration policy into the health care debate, and we responded. Now, what happened was we couldn't, when the House passed the bill, it didn't include that language. Unfortunately, now we're back to the Senate. So I and others decided that we would engage this White House in a conversation and a dialogue about that. So I know what my goal was. My goal was to refocus this presidency on the issue of comprehensive immigration reform, to make it a priority. I think we've taken steps towards making that a reality.
Do those who enter this country illegally have any rights specifically to health care?
No, none, except emergency health care, with every human being does. When you show up and you're in critical condition, you're in an emergency room, the most expensive point, which is part of why I think this is such bad public policy. If you understand that there are 4 million American citizen children, they're born here in this country, whose parents are undocumented, why are you going to prohibit them from purchasing health care that can help cover their children? Number one, because that germ doesn't know a border. That germ isn't afraid of an INS agent. That germ simply comes into the classroom, into the workplace, into our society in general. Let's allow them to purchase their health care with their own money. Moreover, why don't we get comprehensive immigration reform, which is what the rally today is about, making sure so that we don't have these issues anymore to deal with.
Peter Nicholas of the Tribune Washington Bureau.
Thank you for being here, Congressman. We had some news on Friday. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina warned that if health care passes, immigration reform might be dead for the year. He's so concerned about the process used to pass health care that he's saying that he might withdraw his support for immigration reform. He's a crucial player in this, so far the only Republican senator to cooperate on this effort in drafting the legislation. I wondered if you could talk about Senator Graham's announcement.
Well, certainly Senator Lindsey Graham is a friend and an ally and a necessary one. Let's begin from the premise you can't pass comprehensive immigration reform unless it's done in a bipartisan fashion. It won't be like the health care bill. It won't be like any other piece of legislation. It must be. There aren't enough Democrats, either in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, to, on our own, get comprehensive immigration reform passed. So he's important. But, you know, we shouldn't mix one with the other. We did that before. We kind of set the precedent straight on not mixing immigration policy with healthcare policy. And here we go once again, doing the same thing. Look, the plight of our immigrant community is in and of itself one that we should respond as a nation to, as a legislative body. And I don't know, do the Republicans really want to say one more time no to a vast, growing, more influential and more powerful community of Latinos and immigrants in this country? Do they simply want to say no and kind of have a bleak future where they continue to be the party of smaller and smaller numbers here in America? Let me put it to you in this context. 2004, 8 million Latinos voted in the presidential election. 2008, 10 million voted. And it's going to continue to increase every year. Why would you want, on such a critical issue, to walk away from such a large community when, in effect, you really do share with them their aspirations and their goals, which I know in his heart Lindsey Graham does.
Well, given that, given all the Latino votes cast for Barack Obama in 2008, what do you think of the leadership that's come out of the White House on this issue? I know many Latino activists were concerned that there was only one sentence devoted to immigration reform in the State of the Union speech in January. Are you satisfied with the leadership that you've seen from the White House on this?
No, and we've said that on repeated occasions. Why are people coming to the mall today? I don't know if it's going to be 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. I don't know. I know that from Chicago, there are 120 buses. I know there are 10,000 people coming from my city of Chicago, and I know that there are tens of thousands of others coming. What really precipitated, what was that fuse that really lit the whole movement to come into Washington, D.C. today, on this Sunday? It was that one sentence. It was a sense that the president said it because it was obligatory, didn't really give much energy, enthusiasm to his words. His body language, his tone was one of, I'm going to say this and get on with my speech. And so we said we're tired of being invisible. We're tired of this lackluster kind of response to what is truly a human tragedy in America. The millions of undocumented workers whose families are being destroyed, whose families are being ripped apart, who are exploited every day in the workplace. America's greater than the treatment it's giving such a vital and such a core working community of America, which are the immigrants here in this nation.
Rick Dunham of the Houston Chronicle.
Congressman, the Democrats control the House and the Senate as well as the White House. I wanted to get your analysis of why we haven't seen more action on the Hill. You presented legislation in December. We have this framework on the Senate side, which is not really legislation right now. Why have the Democrats not moved forward with it, and what can the demonstration today, what can you do to try to press the leadership on both sides of the Hill to try to get some action this year?
Well, you know, it's failed twice in the Senate. There's been a decision already made that it's going to need to pass through the Senate first. As all of you know, many things get through the House of Representatives and then fail because of inaction in the Senate. In this case, we want action in the Senate. It's always been our priority. It's always been the game plan. Get the Senate to act. So what's different? Do we control both houses? Absolutely. But you know, when the president comes, the State of the Union, the country really does stand still for a moment. Every TV station, lots of radio stations, all focus on that message of the president. And he gives us priorities. He says he gives a direction of where he wants to take the nation, both as the leader of all Americans, but also as the legislative leader for the majority party, in this case, the Democrats. And what we want and what we believe we are, the president is responding is to making it a priority so that we can get it done. My hope is that today, I'm certainly betting on that the vote will be close, but we will pass the health care proposal today in the House of Representatives, that the president can make this the kind of priority. Let me just say this. When he was candidate Barack Obama and he was crossing the nation, he would say, I want to pass comprehensive immigration reform the first year of my presidency. I want to sign that bill in the first summer of my presidency. These are words that he actually articulated. We want to help him. We want him to embrace us. So what's the rally about? The rally is a call. We're not invisible. We're here. We want you, Mr. President, to lead us. We want you to be our quarterback and our leader.
Congressman Gutierrez, this is a president that comes from your hometown, and yet you sound frustrated with him.
You know, but I'm hopeful. And I'm sorry that it doesn't come. It doesn't. It's been really a very difficult first 15 months. My hope is that today we're going to turn a page. I know that the president is sending an address to those that are going to be out there today. I'm hopeful. We had a really good meeting. The president met with us not this Thursday, the Thursday before. I saw him at the Rose Garden event on the signing of the stimulus bill. We shook hands. We spoke. I really am much more hopeful, maybe, than I'm letting on in terms of turning that page and his embracing us more fully and really energizing and putting a fuel. I think of that Barack Obama in 2004 that just lit up the Democratic Convention, and if he could bring some of that charisma and energy and passion to our issue, I know we can win. What do I want? I mean, just like Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation, just like Lyndon Johnson, the Civil Rights Act, I want him to hold that pen and sign a comprehensive immigration bill that will bring people out of the shadows into the light of day. I want him to be that president that goes down in history having done that and having led us. Unfortunately, up to this point, we've had a struggle, but I think it's a struggle that's going to lead to very good cooperation from here forward. At least that's my hope.
Before he holds the pen, does he have to hold a hammer over Democrats? How strong is the support among Democrats in the House and Senate? I mean, we've heard some resistance, and as you said in the Senate, some of the wording on immigration and the healthcare legislation